great sauces is the making of a great restaurant and a great chef. They are paramount.
Yeah.
And they're the things that you need restraint, and you need understanding, and you need bravery to make good sauces, and they cost.
Yeah,
if you want to make good sauces, they cost, and that's where a lot of people will try to sort of carve out some of the money, but they cost.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, sauces, gastronomy, classical gastronomy and escoffier, and a sauce is a complex thing, but equally the appreciation of the importance of the sauce is also, it's similar to being, a pomme frite is fantastic, but you dip it in ketchup, it's epic, in my humble opinion. If you take a piece of cheese, it can be a magnificent piece of cheese, but just with a little bit of chutney, it's transformational. And so sauces don't have to, it is... When two flavours and textures come together in harmony, and where the whole is more than the sum of the parts, you've got something really special, and that is kind of that is the role of sauces playing. It's to enrich and to envelop and to lubricate and to bring more flavours in and to kind of luxuriate.
The harmony thing is the bit that
harmony is so important.
A lot of people don't understand it.
Yeah, and you'll have some chefs who look to challenge the guest. If you're cooking in harmony, generally speaking, it's coming from classic cooking. I think Phil said it on the nose there when he actually said, he can be quite contemporary, but his flavors are classic. And these things become classic because they take the time to do such a thing. And of course, over a period of time when you're actually tasting those things, people decide. And fashion is one thing, but classic cooking is just evolving all the time. It has to evolve because we cannot eat the same food as we were even 40 years ago.
Yeah.
But it has to have that classic harmony of flavor. And you've got references to how you get that in something like the escoffier.
So it makes me think about when there was that huge Nordic trend that sort of from the amazing Rene that dropped into this country, and there was this big swathe of stuff that came through, and a lot of that food's vinegar is the seasoning, a lot of salt, a lot of pickling, that kind of stuff. I genuinely I embraced lots of it, looked at loads of it. Everyone did. We all put our fingers in the pot, but it just didn't have harmony, and I couldn't connect with that food.
I'm glad you said that.
Do you understand what?
Yeah,
It was very
100%.
vinegar based, and
I've gone to some restaurants and they'd say, we just finished that with a little bit of vinegar. We've done this, this, and this, and you'll taste it, and it was quite aggressive.
Yeah.
And if you make a reduction of wine, it's a different acidity level.
Yeah.
You can always actually change that volume. But the reality of it is a totally different kind of flavour. Yeah. It's softer. There's more harmony.
There are trends that come and go, right? The new Nordic and stuff like that. Bistronomy, or all these things that have happened over the years. Escoffier is sort of ridiculously, amazingly, it's just this thread line that has carried on for as long as.
Well, it goes on for an eternity. But when you're talking about actually how long is even if you just stretch it out for a maximum, maybe 50 years, that food has been really happening in this country. It's not even probably quite that, but it's in the big scheme of things, that's not a long period of time. And all sorts, we don't have the deepest, certainly in London, culinary heritage or roots to in the same way they do in France and Italy to keep us centred.
Yeah, right.
So when this excitement of food arrived in this country, we were fertile ground for chefs to dart off in all sorts of different directions, which has been one of the greatest things for the evolution of food in this country. But equally, it means we've gone off and played and done recce's into this and that. And we were very susceptible to Rene, to Heston, to Malek and all that stuff. But nothing really stuck. Overall, it's evolved.
It's evolved, and I think at the moment
it has come back to look at the restaurants coming up.
Surgery again. I think there's another
Josephine and Maison Francois and all these places that are kind of Bouchon Racine. They are,
and a lot of people would have said, don't think that will work.
Yeah.
But they've actually worked tremendously well.
We all know our industry is in a place now where it's difficult, right?
Yeah.
And there's less appetite for eating out. I really think that people want experience. and they want to know that there is process and product and craft gone into their experience now. If you get some beetroot, some radicchio, a little bit of ricotta, put some balsamic and olive oil, it's delicious. That's absolutely lovely.
Yeah.
But most people can now do that at home.
Yeah.
And if you do that in a restaurant consistently, I'm not knocking it, because a lot of people do beautiful food like that is incredibly simple, and they're very successful at it, and I'm not knocking it. However, if you want to really download some serious cash on a great experience, you want food and service and wine that is not attainable at home.
Yeah.
And that layering up of stuff, a sauce that takes me 4 days to make, and I guarantee the duck and blah, blah, you're not doing that at home. So I think that's partly why there's that resurgence. It's tricky cookery. You need craft to be able to deliver that level of cookery. So.